Okay, we're recording another episode of The Silent Word. Baba asked Rustomji to purchase some hand mills, or from 750 boys and teachers from the Rashtriya school in Nagar came for Baba's darshan and to sing to him. Baba asked Rustomji to purchase some hand mills for himself and some of the Mandali to grind their flour. The schoolroom was gaily decorated with flowers and bunting for the distribution of the school and sports prizes. For his winning of the donkey race, Baba was garlanded. Oh, that must have been a sight. Donkey race? Then he gave out the other prizes. During the bhajans, one evening, information was brought that someone had been beaten and robbed between the colony and the city. Baba told the Mandali to get sticks and go with him. After some 2 miles, they came upon some scattered vegetables and other marks of violence, but the robbers had vanished and the victim was nowhere to be seen. The searchers returned to the ashram. Then it was noticed that Anna had not come home from marketing. Presently, the police patil from Arngaon came after having examined the spot and showed Baba a diary which he had found near the vegetables. And Baba said it was Anna's. Baba set off again with two or three mandali and walked to the railway station and there took a tonga to Anna's house, where they found him with head and face bandaged. Someone with a car had picked him up and taken him to the hospital. Baba reassured his family and then took him back to the ashram, arriving there about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was brought to Baba's notice that some of the Harijan families were in great need of help, and he promised them a monthly ration of grain and other foodstuffs. The Mahars in the village invited Baba and Mandali to tea and went and brought them in procession accompanied by music. Great crowds came out to the ashram on 30th June, the eve, as far as the public was concerned, of his silence. Rustomji, Baramji, Nelams, Mohan Arjun, Vishnu, Maruti Patil, Babu Gaiti, and Babu Brahman were given set periods of flour grinding every day. Baba also ground for 1 hour every day. Anna recovered from his injuries and was told to sleep in the ashram. Baba held a meeting of all the Bandali and explained to each his duties for the next year. Burjori, Kandaram, Naval, Chanji, and Barsop came on the 8th. Besides the Besides the instructions and advice given individually, general orders were posted up on the school wall for common guidance. Baramji and Rustomji were appointed superintendent and vice superintendent in charge of all the activities in the colony. Arjun was given the management of the school and of the conduct and condition of the boys. Gustaji was put in charge of all supplies and stores, and Padri was made responsible for the hospital and dispensary. All five were given certain hours when they could see Baba and present any problems to him. All others were forbidden to speak to him unless he indicated by signs or writing that they should. Baba increased his grinding time to 2 hours. The parents and guardians of the boys were called, and he repeated to them his decision to go into silence for a year. He impressed upon them the importance of letting their boys remain at school for at least the next 12 months, and they should create no obstacles to regular attendance. Baba spoke at length, and at the end, they willingly consented not to allow any circumstances to keep their boys away from school for 1 year. Before retiring, Baba spoke once more to the Mandali, and they, understanding that this would be the last time he spoke to them, listened with the greatest attention to his golden words. He said, "Think of others more than of yourselves. Use up your bodies in service. This is absolutely necessary if you want to realize God." And I'm pausing the recording for the resuming the recording, and Meher Karan Durrani Pragada is reading
I will
from.
repeat what the golden words Baba said. He said, think of others more than of yourselves. Use up your bodies in service. This is absolutely necessary if you want to realize God. Then he hinted that one of the reasons for his going into silence was the near passing of Babajan, when he would have to assume a great spiritual burden. And in brackets, since Babajan did not drop our body for another 6 years, he was obviously not speaking of a physical death, but of our withdrawal from the avataric scene. He said that soon there would be widespread communal fighting, especially in India, world war, and natural disasters, which would take tens of millions of lives. But then there would be a long season of peace and tranquility. As he was leaving, he said, always carry a lantern when you go out or about at night. Soon after, as if to confirm his advice, a large snake was found in the compound. The next morning, 10 July 1925, Baba came out of the Zopdi at his usual time of 5 o'clock, and after his bath went towards the Mandali with a slate and pencil in his hand, and with writing and by signs greeted them and inquired after their health and had they slept well. It was with slate and pencil and by expressive gestures that Baba now communicated, and in brackets later on he had the English alphabet and the numerals 1 of 10 painted on a small piece of board and formed words and sentences by pointing to them. The work went on as before. The Mandali became proficient in reading Baba's abbreviated writing and signs. Baba continued his daily detailed inspections, gave interviews, continued his book writing, and ground flour for 2 hours every day. Football was now played in the evenings by the Mandali, with Baba sometimes joining in, and on one occasion when there had been heavy rain in the general mud bath, in one game he sprained his ankle and he had to be helped off the field. For another period they played cricket in the mornings before the school opened. Baba spent much time with the boys, playing with them, scolding, patting, and praising. It was brought to Baba's notice that some of the Mandali had engaged in underhand dealings, and Baba severely took them to task, and then gave a short lecture on truth and fair dealings, saying that death was better than telling a lie for one's own gain or benefit. After bhajans, one evening Baba and the Mandli had just settled down to hear some ghazal singing on records when word was brought that one of the patients in the hospital had slipped away. Baba ordered all out to search and then said, God is my enemy. He cannot bear to see me enjoying myself sometimes even for a little while. Arjun reported serious inattention to lessons among a section of the boys and general bad behavior. Baba ordered the classes concerned to be closed down, but some provision would be made for the good pupils. The worst of the boys somehow or other came together and went to Baba and offered to forego their recreation periods and sports programs and give their full attention to study if Baba would reconsider his order to close their class down. Baba's laden pencil bearer, Bal, slept in one morning and so was not on hand, and Baba gave his office to another, but later on reinstated Bal. The Thursday tea parties at Sahane's house and Baba's discourses continued. The diet of the Mandli was now dal and rice for dinner and vegetables and bread for supper. Work yourself to death for the next 2 years, for the next year or two, Baba told them, and a good fruit will await you. Some swings were put up in the school ground, and Baba swung the small children. Reader continued his Sunday afternoon recitals of the Puranas. A simple, clear way of bringing home the divine truths through stories appealed to the boys. At the close, Baba, in order to test them, asked different ones to repeat what they have heard, and what they said showed that they had been listening attentively, at which all the rest clapped. A few girls came to the school. They were put into the Maratha boys section. Marathi was the only subject taught them. After a while, in one of his daily inspections, it was pointed out to Baba that it was inadvisable to have boys and girls, even though young, together in one class, and he ordered a separate room to be built for the girls. One evening at supper, the bread ran short, and Baba angrily got up from the table and walked away up the road. Ball ran after him with his slate and pencil, and Arjun and Berham followed them, persuaded him to come back. On the 27th, Nilhams passed away, and his body, after being saluted by Baba, was taken to Nagar and given a Christian burial. Baba said that Nilhams had put away his cross body, but his mind was still living, and very soon this mind would cover itself with another form and would come quickly to him. Shall we take a pause?
Uh, yes, good idea. We're pausing, folks.
The Arjun master.
Yeah. So
Okay.
here's Mahu Shariar reading.
Okay. Arjun master was given 4 days leave, and the boys all lined up along the railway line and cheered him as the train passed. With the beginning of his silence, Baba began riding from 6 to 8:30 every morning in the Jopti. None was allowed to approach him during that time. This writing was continued on and off in various places at different times during his stay at Mehrabad. For some time, it was not divulged that he was writing a book, which would be the book of books, and reveal for the first time many secrets of the path of realization. A reading from Upasni Maharaja's book of lectures, Saibak Sutta, was given and Baba explained passages of it. A fakir from Ajmer in the north came, and Baba asked him to fast for a day, repeat the 5 Mohammedan prayers, and repeat the name of the Almighty 500 times. Rustam Masa, Baba's maternal uncle, came from Pune, where he had been working under Baba's orders, and rejoined the resident Mandali. Baba gave him the job of night watchman, the same job he had had at Manzilimi. A goat was run over by the train and killed. Some Mahars or untouchables came and took it away. When Baba heard of it, he set off with 2 or 3 of the Mandali and overlooked them outside one of their huts. There were 4 of them. He made them throw away the animal and swear never to think of eating dead meat again. With their going swearing, Baba took them back to the ashram and gave them as much as they could eat of fresh, wholesome food. The untouchable and Maratha boys were examined, and their progress was found satisfactory. Baba gave a salary raise of 1 rupees to all the teachers. The segregation of the untouchables ended with Marathas sharing the same classrooms. Soon, with the increasing number of students, the accommodation was inadequate, and Baba ordered a larger building to be built, himself turning the first spade of earth for the foundations. Bikula, the leading Bajankari of Kasva Path, came to have Baba's darshan and to entertain him. During his performance, there was sudden rain. Presently, Baba leaned over to Gulmai and said, Rustam has fallen, and then asked him generally, why isn't Behram here? Went out into the rain, presumably to look for him, and came back drenched. This is what. At the same time, some miles the other side of Nagar, Rustam was driving a passenger bus belonging to his father. There was a heavy downpour, but he drove on till the road became submerged, and then stopped on the edge of the culvert, on the edge of a culvert across which the water was racing. After a while, he thought he would get down and explore the road ahead, but on doing so, his foot slipped and he fell with a cry, Baba, into the torrent. He managed, however, to catch hold of the mudguard, and 2 or 3 of the passengers hauled him back into the bus. On the 16th August, Tajuddin Baba dropped his body. He was the first of the 5 perfect masters to do so. Baba discussed with the Mandali how to mark that glorious event. It was decided finally to fast for 24 hours and then put flower petals on Tajuddin's photo and break their fast with jalebis. which would also be distributed to the school children. In the recitation that afternoon, Pleader skillfully brought in Tajuddin Baba's passing. Baba advised his companions that from 1st September he would fast completely and stay in the Jopti most of the time. For a time, the Mandali played cricket mornings and afternoons, with Baba joining in sometimes.
So that's mornings and evenings.
Oh, I'm sorry. For a time, the Mandali played cricket mornings and evenings, with Baba joining in sometimes. During one of the after-supper talks, Baba touched on marriage. He said that if one could lead a life of continence, if one could lead a life of continence, that would be best, for marriage created many subtle bindings. But if one could not conquer desire, then marriage was the only alternative. But the partners must remain strictly faithful to each other. Chanji, Muraji, Ramju, and Khodadad came home to the ashram from their outstations for a few days. One evening after supper, Baba touched on Lord Jesus. He said that Christ had not only survived the crucifixion, but had come to India, where he wandered for a long time and eventually was buried in Kashmir, and the exact spot is still pointed out. By the end of August, the school had been open for 6 months, but it was found that some of the boys, when they went home, ate meat. Baba told Arjun not to give them their daily meal. Only their clothes and books were to remain free. They were also not allowed to attend bhajans nor pay their respects to Baba. But the withholding of the food only lasted a few days. Commenting on the matter, Baba said, Kabir and Nanak tried to improve the lot of these people, but they remained backward.
Thank you, Mahu. Let's pause. We've resumed recording, and Marvin Winnick is reading.
By the end of August, the school had been open for 6 months. Oh, we read that one. A poor Mohammedan from Hyderabad, Deacon, came and asked Bahram for food. Talking with him, Bahram found that he seemed well versed in Qawwali, and after he had a good meal, Baba asked him to sing 2 or 3 ghazals. Baba enjoyed his singing and gave him a handsome present and sent him on his way. A plan was now made to build a 20 by 30 foot dharmshala of corrugated iron sheeting on the north side of the well on the Dand Road for visitors from outstations and those passing through. The parents of the boys, for whom the meals were withheld, trooped in before Baba and begged that the meals be continued. Baba made them swear with their hands on their throats never to cook and eat eggs, dried fish, or any kind of meat. Then he told them that those who were sincere in their oaths should come next Thursday, and the men would each be given a dhotar, and the women each a sari. Baba distributed sweets all round. The boys were now being bathed twice a month and having their heads shaved. On Pendu's birthday, the mandali was served with tea and pastry. The Anant Chaturdashi, or the concluding day of the Ganapati festival, came round, and the divine elephant was taken in procession with village music and with great enthusiasm immersed in a well, with Baba sitting under a tree enjoying the fun. After supper, they played Atya Patya till after 10 o'clock. On 4th September, a new dormitory for the Mandali, 40 by 20 feet, with galvanized iron roof and sheeting, was opened and named Makan Ekas.
Makan khas.
Makan Ekas.
Yeah, that means a special place.
Baba came to know that some of the Arangaon people were planning to perform a vulgar form of comedy that night. He went and talked with them, patiently explaining that such performances had a disastrous effect on the young boys and women folk. He paid them 10 rupees to cover the expenses incurred. He also gave 130 rupees to build a shelter for the children for their bhajan performances. A young Maratha of 23 or 24 years, named Rama Biera, came to Baba and asked to be taken into the school. He was from a village near Kopargaon, and upon his asking his father to have him taught Marathi to the extent that he could read the Rameshwari, he had replied that his son's place was on the farm, not in a schoolroom. Baba had him fed and then changed his name to Bolaram, enrolled him, and started straight away to teach him the alphabet. Baba told the Mandali that whether the young man stayed or not, he would make good in spite of his age. In celebration of Asho Zoroaster's birthday, the school and dispensary were closed. Poems in praise of him were sung, and Baba explained that he was a great spiritual master, like Christ and Muhammad. At this, a great cheer went up. Zoroaster, Maharaj ki jai. Tea and jalebis and bhajas were served liberally. When Baba was welcoming Yeshwantrao from Sakori and Sadashiv Patil from Pune, Arjun said something in a loud tone, and Baba struck him a blow, which felled him to the ground. It will be remembered that Arjun had the body of a wrestler. And the whole assemblage became silent. Baba then said that the moment of the blow was the exact time of Zoroaster's downcoming. No one could understand this saying, but soon the festive atmosphere came back. 2 telis, or oil sellers, came to Baba. They said that their annual feast had come round, and it was the turn of one of them to have it at his house, but because of Baba's wish that they should not eat meat and their vow of abstention, they had decided not to kill a goat, as was usual for this feast, with the result that some of their friends had declined the invitation. Taking all the Mandali with him, Baba went to the village. He sent Rustamji to talk to those who had refused the meatless feast, but they would not listen. So Baba and the Mandali ate a little of the food prepared and returned to the ashram. As they walked along, Baba said, "In spite of their stubbornness, I like these people, but their lot must be improved. They must be freed from their ignorance." Baba then asked the Mandali to go back the following day and talk to them. He told them never to use violence with such people, no matter how provocative they were.
Thank you, Marvin. Resuming the recording with Rosalie Dunphy reading.
Accordingly,
Yep.
first thing in the morning, Rustam and all the Mandali went to the village and talked with the people concerned and prevailed on them to come to Baba. By the time they got to Baba's japti, there were 60 or 70 of them, all talking loudly at once. Baba talked to them again. And after some time, the ringleaders apologized and asked to be forgiven. Whereupon, much to their confusion, Baba gave each of them a turban, a very high mark of regard among these men, and a doter.
What's a doter, anybody? Nobody knows?
To a dhoti. That dhoti is that cloth they wrap around themselves.
Yeah, dhoti is a cloth.
How about
Like
a dotar?
what
Dotar.
is the? Can you highlight that word?
One that wears a dhoti, maybe.
Dhotter.
Oh, yeah, a very high mark of regard among them and a dot. Whereupon Baba gave each of them a turban. Yeah, then that is that. The cloth that is used to wrap around like an
Uh,
underwear.
yeah.
Thank you.
It rained heavily in the night, and Baba said in the morning that it was a sign that the apologies had been sincere and were acceptable. It was reported that some of the villagers who had promised not to put on the vulgar comedy had gone to a similar performance in another village. Baba said that because of a few, the whole village should not be punished. On 20th September, the new Dharmsala was open. The school and dispensary were closed for the afternoon. Baba asked Warman, the tailor, to give the opening address. Warman had an elephant's body and a sparrow's tongue, and the shyness of a small child among strangers. He stood there perspiring and clasping and unclasping his hands. And what finally came out of his mouth was, "I thank you, Baba, for opening this Dharmsala." Baba was in fits of loving laughter. He signed to Vishnu to make the speech, which he did in flowing Marathi. Jalebis and pastries with tea were served. Some bhajan sang, and the visitors went home. And the Mandali moved into their new place, Makan Ekas. In one of the Thursday crowds was a young woman apparently mad. Baba had her put in a hospital, and as always with these afflicted people, fed her with his own hands. One evening, there were two different kirtans, from 4 to 6:30 and from 7 to 10.
Thank you, Rosalie, with Diana reading.
The festival of Dasara came round September 27th and was celebrated in a grand way. At the earnest request of the Mandali, Baba allowed them to bathe him in a room they had prepared. Fragrant oils were rubbed into his body and then washed off with scented soap and water. Then he dressed in fresh clothes and sat on a richly decorated seat. Arti and puja were performed with much fervor. Pleader explained the origin and importance of the great Hindu holiday. Baba gave sweets to all with his own hands and the morning program ended. After dinner, Baba ground flour for 2 hours as usual. In the afternoon, the photos of Maharaj, Sai Baba, and Baba were taken in procession in decorated palanquin with village music, singing, and dancing. They had gone up the road some distance when the rain clouds banked up and Baba sent word for them to return quickly. When the rain ceased, Arti was again performed and more sweets given out, and Baba asked them all to go home before it rained again. Baba had said that there would not be any fireworks at night, but Kishan Master lit some and got his hand burnt. Baba applied oil to it and told him that that was the result of not listening to him. After one of his morning rounds of inspection, Baba was sitting at the entrance of the Makan, the Mandali's new quarters, in a cheerful mood and had another of his name-changing whims. Rustum Masa became major, Kodadad, sailor, Arad Shah, Pesotam, Pawar, Ajoba. Rustum became the father of a second son and asked Baba's permission to spend 50 rupees on a treat for the Mandali. Baba asked them what they wanted. The majority voted for ladus, chuda, bhajis, tea, and pan, and a singing party to which the public could be invited. The singing was not good. One of the visitors, a Mohammedan, started dancing and jumping about as though overcome with emotion, and Baba threatened him and he left. Baba then felt great pain all over his body because of his resisting striking the fellow, and had some of the strongest of the Mandali press his limbs and body for a good 15 minutes. After supper, he joined in a vigorous game of Atyapatya till 10 o'clock. Baba sent for Arjun and told him that he was very dissatisfied with his management of the school, and unless he did a job better, and unless he did his job better, Baba would not come down to them all again. Later, all the Mandali were summoned, and Baba put it to them whether or not they should continue with the institutions, for none of them followed his instructions to the letter. After a couple of hours' discussion and no conclusions arrived at, they all marched off to Shahani's place, where the Thursday tea parties had for some time been resumed, and the Mandali thought the matter ended. But when they were going to bed, one of them saw Baba walking away from the place and, raising the alarm, rushed after him. But he left the road and took a sweep across the fields and arrived back before them and went straight to the Jogti. The next morning he greeted them as usual, inquiring after their health and sleep. But later, on hearing that some of them had taken extra sweets, he ordered all activities to stop and walked away again and sat down under a tree. When the Mandali approached, he waved them back. I think it's time for me to stop.
Very good. We'll stop the recording here.